Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our daily debate. Our daily debate for tonight will be focusing on Egyptian-European cooperation in the field of information technology and digital transformation. And we are honored to have with us in the studio Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, the chair of Department of Computer and Information Systems at El Sadat Academy for Management Sciences. Thank you so much, Dr. Nevine, for joining us. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, dear, and a very good evening.
Thank you. Good evening to you as well. Dr. Nevine, now we'll start with our top stories where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived home after wrapping up a Gulf tour which included stops in Qatar and Kuwait. Before his departure from Kuwait, the President left the Kuwait. He held a talk with Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Mish'al Al-Ahmed Al-Jabr Al-Subah, which followed an expanded meeting bringing together delegations from both sides before attending the banquet in honor of President Sisi. During the meeting, the Kuwaiti Emir said the visit reflects the deep ties binding the two brotherly Arab countries, adding that it was a chance to continue boosting ties in various fields of cooperation, especially economic and investment spheres. He further expressed appreciation to Egypt's historical and pivotal role in developing countries and achieving regional stability. For his part, President Sisi hailed the bilateral historic ties as well as prosperity and development of the Gulf country under the reign of Emir Mish'al al-Subah. The head of state expressed its keenness on boosting ties with Kuwait, especially in economic field, in addition to increasing the trade volume exchange and investments between the two countries with the aim of achieving common interests for both sides. The talks also touched on regional developments, especially the deteriorating situation in the Gaza Strip, with both sides stressing the significance of reaching an immediate ceasefire in the besieged Strip, exchanging detainees and immediately allowing sufficient humanitarian aid to enter the country. The two sides expressed full support to the Arab plan presented by Egypt for the recovery and reconstruction of Gaza. They fully rejected the forced displacement of the Palestinians from their lands and stressed the need to reach a just and comprehensive settlement to the Palestinian cause through establishing a Palestinian state in line with the 1967 boundaries and with East Jerusalem as its capital. The meeting also tackled developments in Syria and Sudan, with both sides expressing their support for the unity and stability of both countries. While on Yemen, they expressed support for the internationally recognized Yemeni government, stressing on the importance of the security of navigation in the Red Sea and the waterways in the region. Before starting our debate for tonight, we'll be taking this report on the Egyptian EU successfully concluding negotiations on Horizon Europe. More details on the following story.
The Commission and the Arab Republic of Egypt have successfully concluded negotiations on Egypt's association to Horizon Europe, the EU's flagship research and innovation funding program. The agreement is expected to be signed by November 2025, with its entry into force subject to final validations by both parties. Egypt's association to Horizon Europe will drive progress in key sectors like energy, food security and digital transition, creating new opportunities for innovation. Transitional arrangements will allow Egyptian entities established in an associated country in Horizon Europe for calls implementing budget from 2025 and onwards. Association to Horizon Europe is the deepest form of collaboration offered by the EU in research and innovation. Once signed, the agreement will enable Egyptian researchers and organizations to participate on equivalent terms as entities established in EU member states. Egypt will be the second African country fully associated to Horizon Europe after Tunisia. Egypt has been a long-standing partner in research and innovation dialogues with the EU, the Union for the Mediterranean and the African Union. This evolving cooperation framework builds on the 2005 EU-Egypt Science and Technology Cooperation Agreement and Egypt's participation in initiatives such as the Partnership for Research and Innovation in the Mediterranean area. Egypt's enhanced cooperation with Horizon Europe further strengthens its role in shaping regional research priorities and deepening international collaboration. Following EU President Ursula von der Leyen's visit to Egypt on the 17th of March 2024 and the signing of the joint declaration elevating European Union-Egypt relations to strategic and comprehensive partnership, formal negotiations were launched in October 2024 in Cairo. Conclusion of these talks, building on months of discussions, marks a significant milestone and paves the way for stronger ties in research and innovation.
Welcome back. We start our debate with our dear guest, Dr. Nevine. Dr. Nevine, how do you describe the development of the Egyptian-European cooperation in the field of information technology and the digital transformation, and how this cooperation is actually promoted with the time passing and many achievements and many agreements that were reached in the past few years?
Actually, this partnership started in 2024 with a main focus on the digital transformation initiatives. So we're aiming at kind of knowledge transfer, and as we just got to know from the report, that we're also working in some joint projects, because with this new initiative, we're allowed to join these projects, kind of innovative and research projects with the EU countries. We're also focusing on the cybersecurity, which is a very hot topic nowadays. Since if you really want to apply the digital transformation in various sectors, then you should be very careful, because that's one of the main risks. So we're focusing also on this risk and how to mitigate it, how to have some policies. And we're also holding some meetings with the EU so as to be able to promote some governance frameworks, some policies that can cope with all of the risks associated with the digital transformation and definitely with the AI technologies.
Indeed. Doctor, to what extent actually Egypt has benefited from the European experiences in digitizing its governmental institutions, as well as we were talking before going into air about the digitalizations as well of the process as well of information technology?
Okay, let's say that we have a main focus here. We're focusing on the youth. So one of the main benefits was the capacity building, having some training programs and some awareness campaigns for the youth so as to enable them to compete and to develop many systems, especially when we talk about the AI technologies.
Of course.
Definitely, I'll be talking more about this because that's my specialization.
Indeed.
But that's a main issue for us. So that was a main advantage for Egypt from this cooperation. Having these programs, having some, as we just said, the knowledge transfer, transferring this knowledge to our youth so as to be able to enable them to the market and to develop systems in various sectors. That's the main focus of this partnership.
Of course. Actually, as Egypt seeking to foster its ties with Europe to cement its digital transformation, how far actually such cooperation has appeared in exchanging the technical experiences, promoting digital infrastructure and supporting the innovation in the governmental services?
We have many initiatives related to digitalization, and by digitalization we're talking about having some digitized processes. So we're not here focusing on the data, because with data we're talking about digitization. But digitalization is mainly about dealing with the processes, kind of maybe deleting some of them, as we just say in our IT jargon, and maybe adding or merging some processes so as to make things easier for all, mainly for the citizens. So we have many initiatives and many joint projects in several fields, such as, for example, transportation, education, healthcare, agriculture, and so on. That was, again, one of the main benefits of this partnership.
How does this cooperation actually align with Egypt's Vision 2030 for the sustainable development, Dr. Labib?
Okay. In order to be able to achieve all of the SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we need to definitely make use and benefit out of these technologies. So a main prerequisite or a requirement will be the capacity building, will be providing the IT infrastructure, will be dealing with the cybersecurity problems and challenges and issues, and definitely the governance. And this is aligned especially with the second edition of the strategy of AI. With AI now, we're aiming at having an ecosystem that will be beneficial, that will be having kind of some investment opportunities, and that will be tackled by youth so as to enable, again, the market. We need to have some AI made in Egypt, not only used in Egypt.
Of course, it's a very important aim to be achieved as soon as
Definitely.
possible. Doctor, also a strategic and comprehensive partnership was reached in March 2024 between Egypt and the EU. What's the importance of this strategic and comprehensive partnership, and to what extent it is important for the Egyptian side?
Actually, it's important for both parties, because when we talk about exchange, when we talk about cooperation, it should be kind of win-win. So that's why we thought about many initiatives that will be beneficial for both countries. We started by the digitization and then the digitalization, and then now with the new help and financial support, we're talking about the digital transformation initiatives so as to make it better. And this is aligned with Egypt vision, because you will not be able to provide better, let's say, educational services or better healthcare services or to deal with the climate change issues if you're not making use of the emerging technologies. And that's the main focus. That's why we need to also exchange the experience in many fields.
Yes, indeed. From your point of view, Doctor, what are the future plans for expanding these partnerships, and how does this cooperation actually compare with Egypt's digital partnerships with other regions, not only the EU?
I think with the EU it's much stronger.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that will be focusing on having new governance frameworks, because with the EU they have a very good experience whenever we're talking about the ethical and the legal aspects of implementing the technologies in the various fields. So this will be one of the main benefits for us. And we have very good bonds with the EU countries. This is not new. I mean, that's kind of historical for Egyptians. So this makes things much easier for us. And again, we'll have many benefits out of this cooperation.
Doctor, how do you view Egypt's commitment to the EU-Egypt strategic partnership with the ongoing cooperation projects worth $1.3 billion in key sectors?
Okay. I think that we're making good use of the technology from the EU countries, and we're also benefiting from their experience. We're trying to have many models, to imitate many models that they already used there. We call it kind of success stories and learned experiences, because sometimes we have some pitfalls and we have to deal with them. And then we transfer this knowledge to the other countries. So we're very much committed to this, and we'll be focusing in the near future on the governance. That's a main issue again for us.
Actually, does Egypt and EU cooperation contribute in helping the Egyptian cadres in operating institutions and improving the environment of investment in Egypt?
Yeah, definitely, because again, we'll be revising our regulations, the rules and regulations, how to make Egypt more attractive to investors. And on the other hand, we're focusing on the capacity building. That's a main issue, because whenever we talk about the digital transformation, some people have some fears and sometimes some phobias out of it, and they do not want to implement it, and they try to maybe create some challenges for whether investors or citizens even, whenever they're trying to provide any services. So with this partnership focused on the capacity building and the awareness, especially with the youth, I think that this will help in dealing with this challenge, and it will make things easier in providing better investment opportunities. On the other hand, we can make use of the AI technologies and of the data analytics, because with data analytics, you can describe the situation, the current situation, and have some diagnostic tools so as to know why it's not that attractive as we want it to be. And then to have some predictive patterns, and with these predictive patterns, the people working in several fields, especially in the economics, they will be able to have some new strategies and some new policies that will help in enabling Egypt to be more attractive for investment opportunities.
Indeed. How also Egypt can, through its cooperation with the EU in that field, cope with the world orientation towards more developed and more sustainable digital services provided?
We have to focus more on the digital transformation initiatives, and that's what we're working on now. So we started with the digitization, and it wasn't easy, because with digitization we're talking about having all of the data and transforming these data into numerical, or let's say on digital data. And it wasn't easy at all, because the data was not as good as it should be. So we needed to validate these data first of all, so as to have...
Which was, of course, quite a complicated
Definitely.
process.
Very complicated, very difficult, but thank God we made it. So finally we have good data right now that we can rely on. That wasn't the case years before.
Of course.
And now we're working on the processes. And this requires some changes in the mindset. Because sometimes people think that we're only having the same processes and then automating these processes. But that's not the digital transformation. It shouldn't be like this. Because with digital transformation, you should make things easier for the citizen.
Of course.
Because again, with digital transformation, the ultimate goal is the citizen satisfaction. So if your citizen is not that satisfied because he or she are only dealing with the same problems and same issues, but in an automated or digital way. And that does not make them satisfied. And sometimes even for the employees, it's kind of the double work. Sometimes they tell us that maybe with the traditional things, it was much easier, the traditional manners. So that's why we need to revise all of the processes. That's what we call the process re-engineering. Maybe we can make new processes, create some new processes, merge some of them, or maybe we can get rid of many of these processes and make things easier for both the employee, that is called for us the internal customer, and then the external customer, which is, here we're talking about the citizens.
Yes, indeed. To what extent this cooperation has actually contributed to better data management in the Egyptian governmental institutions as well, which we did face great rigidity from in order to reach the level that we are trying to reach till this moment, and of course more to come?
Okay, that was a digitization. And it wasn't easy, as we just said, because it needed many pre-processing before being able to have it in any storage device, or maybe in any form, like if we said we have it in a warehouse or whatever, regardless of the way we're going to store the data. We had to get some experience from other countries that are kind of similar in some aspects. And then with this experience, we were able to have our data digitized. And that was the main and the first step towards providing digital transformation services to citizens in Egypt.
Actually, as Egypt has advanced in the field of information technology as well as the digital transformation, which European countries are most involved in cooperation with Egypt in these vital sectors?
France and Italy and Sweden. And you will have, if you have a kind of a more detailed look, then you will have many joint projects with these countries in various sectors.
Yes.
Like, for example, the e-health, or if we talk about the online education, or the agriculture. So again, the point is kind of collaboration and cooperation between the two countries, so as to be able to exchange some experiences and to deal with the different issues and challenges, because some of them are challenges that are faced worldwide, like, for example, the cybersecurity, the IT infrastructure, the capacity building. If you tackle any project, then whenever we're trying to assess why a certain project did not act as planned, and then you will find that these are the main and the common challenges worldwide.
What role does the European Union play in bolstering Egypt's IT and digital transformation sector?
Again, the experience, mainly the capacity building, the use, because they're trying to help with the ecosystem for the startups. Because we need to enable, again, our youth to have their ideas, because some of them have real bright ideas, but they have to find ways to implement it. So having some incubators can help the youth in making their ideas real projects. real experiences in different sectors. So we provide them with the experience, we provide them not only with the IT courses, but also with some managerial courses. And there is a very important point here to be said that we opened for them some markets in the EU. That's very important for them. Not only helping them the capacity building, but having some marketing channels for them in the EU countries.
Yes. Doctor, before continuing here about how the IT and the digital transformation had a positive impact on the governmental institutions, we did have successful negotiations and agreements with the Association to Horizon Europe, which was a very important and successful one. Can you shed more light about this agreement and to what extent it is beneficial for both sides?
Actually, that's one of the best things that happened with this partnership, because here we're talking about Egypt being able to apply and to join in many research and innovative projects, as we just heard in the report, and that's very important because Egypt will be able to grasp many of the new technologies that way. We need to be a main partner in these projects. That's how we can advance with our technologies, because we also believe that research is very important. We're not only talking about the capacity building, the education and training, but research is very important, extremely important, especially with these emerging technologies. You see that the advancements, that's going very fast. So that will be a way to follow up with the new technologies.
Doctor, also we did have success with Global Europe with 7.4 billion euros. How do you see that impact also on the development of the IT and digital transformation in Egypt as well?
Again, that's a very important aspect, having funds, because whenever we talk about projects in the IT field, it requires funds for having some software, the IT infrastructure, even with the capacity building. So that was a main point. If you have these funds, especially that these funds are allocated mainly for digital transformation initiatives, then you can expect much better results. Because having the funds, having the experience, having the cooperation, having the ability to join in the innovative projects, then you have all of the requirements to have a successful digital transformation initiative.
I do believe that this agreement did start on 2024 and will last till 2027. What do we expect from this agreement and this partnership throughout these years, Doctor?
We expect a totally digital Egypt. That's our aim, yes, to have all of the services provided to citizens in a digital manner, and to have finally a citizen who is satisfied. That's a main issue with us. And then whenever you will be able to implement the digital transformation, you will be able afterwards to apply all of the AI technologies, especially in our country, because now we're talking about data-driven decision making. In order to be able to do it, you've got to have data, good data that is already stored and managed and updated. And then having these data, you can work on it and provide all of the policy makers and the decision takers in Egypt with the required not only historical data and analysis, but also with some analytics and some future and predictive patterns. That's what we aim at now.
How do you evaluate as an expert in that field, Doctor, the success of these agreements and the implementation on the ground of that cooperation, and what more do we expect to reach in order to reach our final aim by 2027?
Okay, we're doing a great job. That's not a biased answer, but that's what we're witnessing these days. We have many important projects, especially if you talk about education and healthcare, and these are the two main priorities in Egypt. That's very important for us. So we did a great job, but I think that we have a main challenge, which is the mindset. With all of the capacity building and the training programs and the initiatives provided by the government, especially the Ministry of Telecommunication, we still have some people that are resisting. So I think that what we should focus on is not the technical aspects, but we should focus on the human aspects. How to convince these people that these emerging technologies are essential. We're not talking here about luxury, we're talking about essential tools so as to provide a better future. That's a main challenge for us in Egypt.
Should we start to change the mindset of the people by educating the youth to be part of the system and to try to give training to the maybe older on how these domains are important for their daily life activities and for every aspect in their lives, how that could be achieved, Dr. Labib. And I do believe that also the Ministry of Information Technology did announce that there was an initiative launched by the ministry for the youth in Egypt in order to have training regarding these domains and to start job opportunities in the field of information technology as well.
Let's say that we don't have any problems or issues with the youth because you have many initiatives. Some of them are targeting kids, actually. We can say the word kids because we're talking about age 9. So it's not only the graduates or the undergrad students, but we're also talking about students in schools. So with the students, with the youth, we don't have a problem for them accepting the technology because that's their generation. All of these generations, they were born with these technologies.
Indeed,
around
to a great extent. Yes.
Yeah, but for us as adults, it's not easy because you're asking a person to change his lifestyle, his or her lifestyle, which is not easy at all. So maybe we should make use of the media and have some awareness campaigns targeting normal people. We're not targeting the very well educated or the professional. We're targeting all of the citizens, maybe having kind of short movies, and with these short movies or short videos highlighting the main advantages, because with these people they have one question: what's in it for me? So when you start talking about cloud computing and analytics,
maybe people get scared when they hear these terminologies. Maybe they get scared and they have some rigidity accepting these ideas or this innovative
they're very
ideas.
scared of the risks.
Of course.
When they hear about the cybersecurity, they're really scared.
Of course.
How come that some people can have our data and, you know, how people think. So that's a main challenge, let's face it. We cannot tell them that we have no risks and that everything is nice. No, that's not the case. We should be, it's not true. We should be realistic and respect their mentalities and tell them that these technologies may be very useful if used in a proper way, and maybe make some awareness campaigns, conduct some events, so as to explain to them how to secure their data. Because sometimes with these people, they give their passwords to their colleagues.
To others,
I was explaining this point yesterday, and then the people were very offended, and they told me, and what's the problem? We trust them. And then I told them, you're scared for your data. So how come that you have your passwords
given to someone
given
else?
to everyone? And then everyone is aware of all the data that's there, and now we're talking about how to protect the data if you go digital. That's a main concern. So we need to explain to them. We need to make things easier. Maybe having kind of a regular program that can kind of explain the main terms, because they're scared. Whenever they hear digital or digitization or digitalization or digital transformation, and then maybe we'll have some robots around us, and maybe we'll have wars, and then they watch some movies, some scary movies. That's the scenarios they have. Yeah, exactly. So we need to face this so as to make them, to make the resistance less. There will always be some resistance to change, which is normal. But if people get to know that it's beneficial for them, then I think that this approach will make things easier.
Indeed. We'll get back to this very important point about how to let people accept and understand the importance of the IT and the digital transformation. But first, we'll be taking this report about Egypt and the EU discussing means to boost trade investment cooperation.
Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade Hassan Al-Khatib asserted Egypt's keenness on strengthening economic ties with the European Union in different domains and at all levels, pointing to the importance of discovering new opportunities to build sustainable economic partnership with the European Union. This came during Khatib's meeting with the Ambassador of the European Union in Cairo, Angelina Aythorst, to discuss boosting trade ties, improving the business environment, and encouraging competitiveness by fostering innovation and building capabilities. Khatib noted the importance of reducing trade barriers and enhancing production quality management systems to better access markets on both sides. The meeting asserted the importance of boosting joint efforts to attract more European investments to the Egyptian markets and work on creating a transparent and stable trade environment, in addition to improving the infrastructure and developing logistics services to facilitate trade movement. Meanwhile, the two officials lauded the strategic partnership with Egypt, adding that the EU is working on promoting trade and investment cooperation by building a more competitive and comprehensive trade environment to serve the interests of communities and companies and businesses on both sides. Egypt is undergoing a major transformation in its digital infrastructure. The government has set its target of modernizing its public administration functions using digital technologies to automate internal processes, minimize bureaucracy and promote transparency. As part of Egypt's Vision 2030, a comprehensive plan that connects both public and private sectors and enhances citizen service provisions has been initiated.
And continuing here our debate about the Egyptian-European cooperation in the field of information technology and digital transformation with our dear guest, Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, the Vice President of the Egyptian Society for Information Systems and Computer Technology. Doctor, as we have just heard, and we were talking actually before also the report, how we have a challenge here to let people understand what's the importance of the digital transformation, what is the importance of the digitizing of the systems. To what extent here comes the role, the importance of the role played by the different information system and information technology and computer experts in different universities and in different societies in order to let people understand the importance of change, the importance of understanding what's the importance of the information technology and the digitalization in their lives?
Actually, we need to organize many events and then target normal people, as we were just saying, not the professional ones, because the professional ones, they're aware of all the benefits and the risks and how to mitigate these risks. So they're fine with it. They know that each technology, each and every technology has its pros and cons and its challenges, and then we have to meet these challenges and to find some potential solutions. But for the normal people, we need to make things easier, like you just mentioned, that maybe we can have some events, but attractive events for them, maybe having kind of a family day for people, and then trying to provide them with some videos and some role play, and to discuss the different terms used nowadays, and mainly to focus on the advantages. Again, what's in it for them? How can this make their lives easier? So if we focus on the SDGs, you mentioned this very important and smart point, how these technologies can help achieving all of the 17 SDGs. If we focus on explaining to them that having these technologies will provide them with better educational and better healthcare. Of course. Healthcare is very important for everyone. So if we start talking about the telemedicine and how can we provide the same quality of healthcare services to some less privileged areas, I think that will be a good approach, how AI can help making the lives of the special needs much easier indeed, and include them in the society, the social inclusion. But let's not say the term social inclusion, but explain to them, maybe with some videos, some photos, some role players I just told you.
Of course.
Explain
in a
to them
simple way.
in a very simple way, like even telling it in a story, and telling them that this can make life easier for everyone, and focus on the basic needs, because sometimes we're accused of dealing with the I mean, they tell us that we're talking about AI technologies, and for them they have some difficulties getting their basic needs.
Of course.
So how come that you're talking to me about this social inclusion or digital transformation initiative?
Yes.
I have other concerns.
I have other priorities to start with.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the word. I have other priorities. So if we can tell them that for these priorities, then we're working towards providing you with the basic needs, like, for example, healthcare, education, food. And if we tackle the no poverty as the first SDG, then I think that this might be a suitable approach.
Of course.
I believe it will be a suitable approach for all of them, so that they listen, they get to know more about what's digital, how can they secure their data, and then it's a good approach, and we take it from there, and we start educating people. We need to educate people in a very simple way. We don't want them to be AI specialists, but we want them not to resist the system in their work and in their lives, because it's coming anyway.
Yes. Doctor, what are the most significant projects between Egypt and European countries in the IT and digital transformation sectors, and to what extent these agreements and these projects between Egypt and you could be affecting the lives of the Egyptian citizens directly?
These projects mainly focus on the digital transformation initiatives in the main sectors for us in Egypt, like the agriculture, the transportation, the healthcare, and the education. These are the main sectors that we aim to be able to cooperate with these countries and to have their experience, to have some, again, new ideas from the youth in order to be able to tackle the different problems that we're facing, because they come up with some ideas, and with the incubators, these countries can help them in having these ideas a reality.
Of course.
So these are the main things. Here the main focus is digital transformation and the youth.
Of course. Doctor, how actually is the digital governance being improved through these partnerships with the European Union?
With this partnership, we're having many meetings so as to be able to discuss the challenges, and one of the main challenges is the governance. So we're working towards having kind of a regulatory framework that can help in making these technologies beneficial for humans, because sometimes we have ethical issues, not only legal. With legal issues, it can be solved with the regulations and with the laws. But with the ethical issues, it's kind of a gray zone. Because how can you make sure that this system will not be biased with or against? How can you make sure that the system will not control humans? So we have many aspects that we need to revise, and we need to embed all of these aspects in a regulatory framework so as to assure that we will benefit out of the technologies. That's a main issue for us. Sometimes with these technologies we're having hard times.
Of course. How are the European companies actually being involved in Egypt's digital infrastructure projects?
We have many of them working here in providing better IT infrastructure. We had 2 or 3 projects tackling providing better and faster internet access in Egypt, and not only Egypt. They have many initiatives targeting the Middle East and the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa.
Yes.
And we're part of it. So we have many reputable companies from Europe working in this area, because that's one of the main prerequisites. If you want to implement all of these emerging technologies, that you should start by having a robust IT infrastructure.
What are the types actually of technology being transferred from Europe to Egypt in the very recent years?
We're talking about AI technologies mainly. We're talking about cloud computing, big data analytics, and so on. These are the recent technologies transferred from these countries to Egypt.
And what training actually programs presented by the European countries have been offered or actually have been implemented to support the staff who are working in the field of information technology and digital transformation in Egypt?
Many capacity building programs. We call it capacity building program because we're talking here about some integrated programs. And with these integrated programs, we're trying, or actually they're trying, to transfer their knowledge and their expertise and their skills, their competencies to the youth, not only in the emerging technologies and mainly the AI technologies, but also in how to implement these technologies, how to make the technologies a reality, because it's not enough to educate the youth with the technical aspects. You should make things realistic for them and tackle the reality, the challenges that they will face. Not they might, they will face definitely, especially with the cyber security. That's very important, and it's always embedded in all of the capacity building programs.
Of course. Doctor, actually, how is the up-to-date technology being addressed in the Egyptian-European collaboration in the field of cyber security?
We're having many meetings with both sides, trying to come up with some mitigation for these risks, because it's not only important for us to identify the potential risks and their impact, but we should be working towards having some plan B, how to mitigate these risks. And this requires many conversation and many knowledge transfer, many brainstorming sessions that are being held so as to be able to find some strategies, especially when it comes to the cybersecurity. We have definitely a cybersecurity strategy in Egypt, but how we can align it with the new risks that we're facing.
Indeed. What actually digital platforms have been created through these partnerships?
We have the Digital Egypt, that's the main platform, and we're trying to embed all and include all of the services to the citizens in the various sectors in this platform, in one platform. But this will take some time because we started already with the digitization, but we will be needing to go from the e-government to smart government. I guess that's the transition, because with smart governance and with smart government, you have kind of services provided to the citizens. Some of the services require more than one ministry, for example, or more than one governmental entity to provide it. So we need to make this link, and we also need to make sure that the services are provided in an ethical and legal manner. And that's the importance of the smart governance here.
Of course. Doctor, how are the European IT and digitalization standards actually being applied in the Egyptian governmental institutions?
Actually, when we started working with the digital transformation, we needed to make use and apply these standards, because here we're talking about cooperation. So, for example, with the government, when you have the G2G, when you have some cooperation or some work that is being done between two governments in two different countries, then you have to abide by the standards. Both countries should be applying the same standards, or else you will not be able to share the data or to do any work together. So that was, again, a main prerequisite for these projects to be successful.
How do both sides, actually, Egypt and EU, succeeded in their joint agreement in the IT and digitalization initiative and projects?
We have many success factors, but here we're talking about the new technologies. We're talking about the implementation of these new technologies. We're talking about, again, a main aspect, which is the capacity building. So they succeeded in having a kind of an incubator, so as to have joint projects coming to reality with these youth and having some transfer between the youth in different countries.
And this is related to the partnerships between Egypt and the EU?
Yes, that's one of the main advantages for us, because you need someone to adopt and to help and to support these ideas and to make it real projects. And that was, again, a main advantage and benefit for us in Egypt.
Doctor, actually, what is the impact of the Egyptian-European cooperation on the transparency and anti-corruption efforts?
Whenever you go digital, then this helps dealing with the corruption. Because with the human intervention, you have a better chance of having more corruption. Of course. But again, we have to highlight the point that it's not necessary that these systems will not be corrupt, because you have two main aspects or two main inputs in the system: the data and the algorithm. Sometimes you feed the system with biased data, and this leads to unfair outcomes. Other times you have a biased algorithm or a corrupt algorithm, and it leads again to unfair outcomes. So we should be very careful. That's why we need the experience of the EU in this aspect. With the EU, they have a very nice charter for AI, so as to make sure that it is, it's not affecting any ethics. It is ethical. That's the ethical AI. And they did a great job in transforming these ethical aspects into regulations. I guess that's what we're doing here now. Because in Egypt, we have, again, the responsible AI charter. But we need to make these ethics and these ethical aspects, we need to impose them with some regulations. That's the next step that we need to work on and to benefit out of the experience of the EU.
Yes. What role does the private sector play to enhance Egyptian-European collaboration in the field of IT and digital transformation, Dr. Nevine?
It helps, again, with the capacity building, with providing the software, the hardware, the, let's say, the requirements. Because we're talking about an ecosystem. So they're helping with the ecosystem. If you need the youth to go for startups and to have their own companies, that you should provide a better ecosystem for them.
Of course.
That's what they're helping with the ecosystem, with their experience, especially in the management field. Because sometimes with our IT students and IT graduates who have great ideas, they lack some of the managerial and soft skills. So again, these companies help in this field and help with some incubators as well, and help with educating the students and the graduates not only with the main technical aspects but with some practical aspects. We have witnessed lately many universities that are dealing only with the practical side.
It's very important.
Yeah, it's not enough because we're not only here talking about the theories, but you have to go for practical sides, and this requires many facilities that are sometimes not available. And that's what the private sector is contributing with.
How are, Dr. Nevine, the citizens benefiting from the digitalization of the governmental services?
They're much more, let's say they're happier, that they're more satisfied now because we have many electronic services provided to citizens. Definitely we still have some challenges,
of course,
but we're much better. We have many services provided to us by the government in an electronic and much easier way.
Finally, as we are wrapping up, Dr. Nevine, what message here do you want to deliver as an expert in that field about the importance of moving to the digital era, to accept and to be part of the information technology development and the digitalization of the systems in Egypt, and accepting to be part of this development?
I believe I should highlight the benefits, especially in the main priorities for us, again, which is here we're talking about the education and healthcare. So
yes, of course,
if we can focus on these two fields, then I think that people will be helping us in this field and will not be resistant. And again, we dream of having AI made in Egypt, not only used in Egypt.
Indeed. Do we have any agreements or any maybe training that we could be having throughout this collaboration with the European Union to achieve the Made in Egypt information technology?
Yes, there are many capacity building programs, but again, we need to have a better ecosystem.
Of course.
We need to make it a reality, the second edition of the AI strategy, providing a better ecosystem, providing an ecosystem that is attractive for investors, as you were just mentioning, and that is not resisted by
the citizens here in Egypt.
Of
course. Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, the Vice President of the Egyptian Society for Information Systems and Computer Technology, thank you so much for your very precious input. Always a pleasure, Dr. Nevine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our dear viewers, that will bring us to the end of this edition of our daily debate. I'm Hesti Rabia. Many thanks for watching.